Welcome back to the last episode in our series on the secret life of coins. This episode is essentially the equivalent of our Toys and Games Day at the end of term, as we take a lighter look at the way coins have been used in games over the centuries. Joining me for this episode is Dr. David Mason.
Hello.
And Susie Sanford.
Hello.
At the end of the episode, though, Abigail will come back in and we will look at our favourite moments from this series. So, to begin, what are your memories of coin games? Let's start with you, Susie.
Yeah, I remember in my misspent youth, not quite centuries ago, I'm not quite that old, but playing games in the pub with 50p's or pound coins, shoving them across a table and flipping them up.
I was going to say it's shoving and flicking. It's kind of using them to flip coins or to flick them around. And then these days, of course, you get more modern interpretations of coins in things like board games, where I've got a shelf full of board games, much to my wife's growing discontent now. And they've all got their own versions of plastic or wooden coins in them.
Yeah, and the classic from the shoving point of view is the shove halfpenny game, which has been around for a long, long time. And we've got several examples in the collection. And then there's things just like flipping a coin close to a wall. There's all sorts of examples of where coins have been an intrinsic part of a gaming experience.
Even shove halfpenny apparently dates back to the Middle Ages. It was potentially even used with a bigger coin or a higher value coin then called slip groat.
Yeah, ooh, slip groat.
Slip groat.
That's a good name. Sounds like a name for a band. Right. Now, in order to explore coins as entertainment, we're going to try something in the studio that we've not tried before, which is actually playing some coin games. So I've got David and Susie down the other end, ready to go, with all things a pint glass of water with a lemon in it. And in front of them, there's a whole host of coins. It's got a nice selection of things to have to play with. But the aim of this game, from what I rightly understand, because this is a David game that's being found, is to balance a coin on the lemon. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you'll find this in pubs up and down the country. There'll be a pint glass with a lemon floating in it. I mean, maybe you won't find it at pubs up and down the country now, but you used to. And the idea is the lemon is floating in the water. You have to balance the coin on top of the lemon. And if you do, you win a pint or you win the money that's fallen into the bottom of the glass from everyone else who's failed. There's already quite a lot of money in the bottom of our glass from when we failed at practice attempts.
It's really engaging, though.
It's very addictive, isn't it?
Yeah, because it looks like you can almost do it.
So enough talking, you two. Let's have a go.
Right.
You start, David. Let's see how you get on.
I'm going in with a halfpenny, a 1963 halfpenny.
He's trying. He's putting it on top of the
lemon. Is bobbing.
It's moving around. And he's failed. He's failed, gone into the glass.
Failed abysmally.
What about you, Susie?
I am going to go. My strategy says that the smaller the coin, the more likely it is to balance. So I'm going
what have you got?
for a sixpence here. So I'm going to gently lean over and do it as
it's
gently as
looking
I
good. Oh! I thought that took such a long time to tip.
I know,
then.
right? Yeah, 3 to 7 business days.
I'm going to try something larger.
I'm
going into the Churchill Crown. Maybe the surface area will do this.
That's going to sink the lemon, I think.
Oh, God. The tension is mounting.
Oh.
David's putting it on very... No, that was awful. That was stressful.
Okay,
quite good spin on the lemon.
What about a threepence then? Let's see if that...
These coins are just what we had in the museum as a handling collection, by the way. It's not that we're specifically using pre-decimal coins for any reason.
No, that was just me holding the coin on top of the lemon.
So to be honest, I'll be fully open with you. I don't think this game is actually doable. I think the point is you never win the pint. That's why it's on the bar.
I suspect if in pre-decimal money, we already have about 3 or 4 pints worth of booze at the bottom of the glass anyway. Yes. So, it's a good bit of entertainment, though. And it's a good example of how coins have been used to entertain someone in a pub setting.
Yeah, and to get them to spend a little bit more through games.
Absolutely. I think this would end up like a fountain, where if you've got a fountain, people are obsessed with putting coins in it. This would be an extra way of making quite a lot of money, I think.
Another game that we've got is something called Nine Men's Morris or Merrills or Mills. We come across it in various different names. But according to Abigail, it goes all the way back to the Roman era. She used to work at Caerleon, the Roman fortress that's near Newport. And she said that she used to teach this to the kids there when they came to visit. But what we have as a board, as a playing surface, is basically a couple of squares, isn't it, David, Susie, in front of you?
Yeah, this is great as well because you don't even need like a printed out version or a special board or anything. You could just draw this on whatever surface you've got or draw it in the dirt and use it. You've got 3 concentric squares, sort of one inside the other, joined up by 3 horizontal and vertical lines, and points on each square where you can put your counters, in this case, coins.
And what you need for each player, because you've got 2 here, Susie and David, is 2 distinct sets of counters or coins. And you've got one of you playing with halfpennies and one of you playing with shillings, aren't you?
Shillings, yeah. I'm shillings, David's halfpennies. And we couldn't wait to start, so we've already got the board set up. We've each been putting our counters on. It's a really strategic game. You've got to try and make a row of 3 of these coins, 3 of your coins, without the other player getting 3 of their coins. And every time you get a row of 3, you get to take one of the opponent's counters away.
And once you've placed all your counters or coins on the board, then you start to move them around. And you can only move them one space. And the idea is to keep making these rows of 3. And then gradually over time, you'll get more rows of 3. And eventually there'll be only one player left standing because all the other counters or coins of the other player would have been removed. So whose turn is it? Who's going next?
David's going next. We have already established I am rubbish at this game. So David is absolutely...
it's a horrible war of attrition and I don't like losing. So I'm going to...
The good thing about this, though, as you 2 are playing away in the background, is that this could be done anywhere. You've got
I got a line. I got a line, yep.
So you could do this anywhere, and you could do this quite easily in a pub, and that's why you'd use coins, because everyone's got them in their pockets. So you don't need specific counters. You just need a handful of coinage.
Well, presumably, if you're a Roman soldier on duty, that would make sense. It's a long, boring shift or whatever. You could make use of, like you said, dirt in the ground, coins in your pocket. You've got a game to pass the time.
Or even in a pub. You know, if you're passing time in a pub and you wanted to use something, create a game, very easy to draw this on a bit of scrap of paper. You just need a very simple board setup, and then you can just fish out whatever coins you've got in your pocket.
And it's really hard to talk to you and strategize at the same time.
I've completely given up on podcasting. I'm just trying to move the coins now.
See, this isn't fair now. Oh, hold on.
I think who is winning? Where are we at?
No idea.
Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 8 coins in play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. David's got 7 coins in play.
Susie is winning, and I think we probably ought to leave it there and call you the victor.
Exactly the same
take
thing.
Ours.
See you after the podcast. I'll finish this game.
Now, that was 9 men's Morris. And moving on swiftly from that, given that I think probably Susie was the winner on that little short competition, to another really weird and wonderful one, which is coin stacking.
Yes, the magical, marvellous world of coin stacking. We've been looking at the Guinness Book of World Records, and we've discovered that the record for most coins stacked in 30 seconds is 54, was it?
Yeah, 54. It's actually quite hotly contested, this one.
It's slightly vaguely described, though, isn't it?
It is. There's no technique specificity here, so I think we're going to have to invent our own.
We have watched a few videos, and so there are techniques developing. I think I've got one I'd like to try. So I want to hold the stack with one hand and stack with the other.
What I'm going to suggest is that we pit the 2 of you against each other in true competition form. But given that 30 seconds is a long time on air for a podcast, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to stack your coins.
No pressure.
So I'm about to ready. Are you both ready?
I'm ready.
Born ready.
And go. Now, it's going well. I think Susie's in the lead. Oh, another 5 seconds left.
Yes, I am. I'm using both hands.
David's cheating.
Stop. That's 10 seconds. How many have you got? Oh, I actually think David might have won.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4,
I've got 10.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I'm operating at 1 coin per second here.
It's impressive.
So you're not going to beat the Guinness World Record at that rate?
Clearly not. No, I've got a long way to go.
Yeah, it's all about technique. Definitely.
But yet again, from coins and entertainment point of view, and rather a weird Guinness World Record point of view, it's what you've got available. So you could do this anywhere with what's in your pocket and what's available. It's perhaps no surprise that you won that section there, David, because we did give you some warm-up in terms of coins as entertainment, because we sent you off to Barry Island, didn't we?
You did, yeah. So I have more coin dexterity, perhaps, than Susie, having spent time at the Barry Island arcades.
And the reason behind that is because often seaside places are where you get arcades, and it's another great example of how coins are used as entertainment.
we're here at Barry Island and I'm trying desperately to win a rubber duck, I've got some kind of 2p slot machine in front of me, but it's not the conventional kind of penny waterfalls. You stack all your coins up in a little slot and then you rapid fire flick them up and throw them through the air to try and knock more coins off a shelf, which knocks them down to the first set of scoopers, onto the second, onto the third, but it's quite violent. I'm really enjoying this. Oh wow, we've fully broken this one now. Oh, it's okay, we fixed it again. We're trying to win a duck for the office. I think Amy's going to swoop in and claim all my glory. I've been working at this.
One of those people who hangs around by the food machines waiting until someone gives it up, and then I just pop in and get the jackpot in one win.
See, I told you more money would fix this problem.
Oh, yes!
We've done it.
Yes!
We've rescued this duck.
So, David, do we still have the duck?
We absolutely still have the duck. I have
Excellent.
Lady Duckingsworth right here. I say Lady Duckingsworth because she has the eyelashes that indicates that she is intended to be a lady duck.
I mean, that was one hell of an experience you all had down at Barry. I wasn't there, unfortunately, but you seem to enjoy it.
I don't think that I like the seaside, but I had a great day. I had a really brilliant day.
That noise, though, of the arcade is very classic seaside sound, though, isn't it?
It's very nostalgic for me. I grew up on the South Coast and my teenage years were spent, down at the arcades. You can have a really good afternoon out for virtually no money on those little 2p machines.
1 pennies and 2 pence.
Yeah, when we were there, we were even talking about how if a machine is like 10 pence or more, we would not play it. It was all about 2p's and pennies.
Well, exactly. I mean, there were loads of arcade machines there. There was all kinds of things that you could put money into and it would flash and whiz and whatever. But we were drawn to those 2p waterfall machines, and we were drawn away from the 10p waterfall machines, even though they had better prizes. They had a fiver and an envelope and things like that. But no, we wanted the plastic duck in the 2p machine.
You become invested in these things. I was obsessed with winning a little pink rainbow unicorn thing that I put. It was a key ring, which I since lost, but at the time it was everything
It's
to
not
win
as good
that
as
thing.
the duck.
No, obviously not.
But coins, arcades, they're part of that classic British seaside experience. And just as we went on a trip to the seaside in 2025, so did the staff of the Mint in the 1890s.
Yeah, I found a beautiful little entry in the Royal Mint Swimming Club minutes book on Saturday, the 23rd of July in 1898. They went on their second annual outing to Southend. I think there were about 25 of them all went down. They had their swimming event. And then there's just a line that says, during the evening, the members indulged in the amusements on the pier. Which I quite like.
Excellent. And I did a bit of digging to try and find out what type of amusements on the pier they might have found. And there's a great extract from the Southend Standard, a local newspaper of the time, from July 1898, which gave some examples of the arcades that were available at that time.
Yeah, we've got, what do we got here? An open lung tester. That's
Brilliant.
A particular favourite of mine. And an X-ray machine. That sounds like something we use on a
Literally
day-to-day
an X-ray
basis.
machine.
Literally, that's what it did.
That's what it did. It X-rayed you. I know, health and safety, non-existent.
Yeah, there was also a machine called the Electrical Wonder, which I haven't been able to track down what it actually does. But looking at examples from around the time, there were lots of machines out there which will basically test your endurance to an electrical current running through you.
Yeah, again,
Bonkers
health and
now.
safety, non-existent.
Absolutely.
And in order to find out how coins have been used in arcades to entertain the masses over the decades, David and I went on a trip to the seaside to Great Yarmouth.
Okay, so I'm here in Williamson's Old Penny Arcade in Great Yarmouth. We're at the end of one of the piers. We've had to come through a very modern arcade to get here, which is like every other sort of modern seaside arcade you've been in. It's bright flashing lights, it's loud music, it's bright and vivid, but in a totally nostalgic way. It's like you've gone back in time 100 years. You're in an old seaside setting. It's painted with lovely fluffy clouds on the walls and beach huts and things like that. And then you're surrounded by these old-fashioned penny machines. They are pretty much all beautiful wooden boxes. They're, varnished, or there's some that are mahogany, there's some slightly newer ones, but they're games in the most simple and almost like the purest sense. There is not an inch of space wasted in here. These machines are stacked up next to each other. It's wall-to-wall old arcade machines. They're all different. They're all pull levers and twists and flicks. They're all mechanical, and the thing that links them all together is the penny.
I'm Peter Williamson, collector, restorer and operator of vintage amusement machines from the period 1920s right up to decimalisation, and obviously some reproduction machines that have been manufactured over and above. We operate in 2 locations, one in Great Yarmouth at the Model Village, and the second location that has about 40 machines is at Miniature Worlds at Wroxham. All the sites predominantly work on the big old-fashioned penny, of which you swap your modern money for a handful of old pennies.
Where did these sort of start out? What were the earliest of these kind of public amusement machines?
The earliest machines were postcard vendors.
Right.
1870s, 1880s was the start of the coin-operated revolution. Then obviously you moved to gold changers, where you had a half sovereign or a full gold sovereign you would pull out with a little container with your change. But if you go, 1890s, there was fortune tellers starting to appear. A coin-operated bar in Paris, where you put a coin in and you got your drink from a barrel.
Wow.
So it starts around that magical 1880s, 1890s, 1900s.
These early machines operated via these large pre-decimal pennies. Mechanically speaking, how does that work when you pop the penny in? Is that to do with the size, to do with the weight?
A little bit of both. A big old penny is 31.5 millimetres by about 1.5, 1.3 millimetres wide. So the weight is critical because most early mechanical machines do rely on the weight of a penny hitting a lever to either release a mechanism, release a ball, or allows you to activate a machine. So a high percentage of the early wall machines rely on the penny to trip a lever. Some it will go through and it will hold the coin, and the diameter of the coin is critical because as you turn the coin, it will then push the coin to allow it to go. Small coins, like a new 5p or a new penny, are very difficult to operate with if you were to build mechanical machines today, purely because the weight and the diameter is not there. Of course, over the years, everybody loves trying to predict their future, don't they? Whether it's the Oracle, you select your
detailed.
question.
Look at that.
You select a question,
I must have a go at this. Yeah.
and then it'll answer yes or no.
Go on, David. Shall I ever be rich? That's a good one.
Working in a museum means it's probably not.
There we go.
Oh,
I'm destined to be stuck at the Royal Museum forever.
Yeah. But the first automatic saloons opened in London in 1900, and they were just what we would call amusement arcades, but they weren't. They were automatic saloons, predominantly what the Butler saw machines, or drop card viewers, or shooting ranges. Very popular with shooting ranges.
So this starts out almost transactional. This starts out with things like sovereign changes. We've got a sovereign changer back in the museum. It starts out with vending machines, and then it moves on to predominantly visual things like what the Butler saw.
Exactly. Then from there, it moves into doing, shooting, listening, as well as viewing, winning prizes. You know, the crane revolution started in the late 20s, 1930s, which is now developed into modern crane machines you see in all seaside resorts.
I love that it starts with that. It starts with vending. I love the idea of a coin-operated bar, you said.
Absolutely wonderful.
I feel like we've come full circle now. I was at a card-operated wine bar a few days ago, and
it's there, isn't it? If you go over to Japan, they're the kings of vending machines. You can buy anything there, from a portion of chips to a pizza to whatever on a coin-operated vending. So, you know, if you start from, like I said, the 1890s, 1900s, that was your coin-operated revolution. They discovered what a little coin could do. If you look back in the history books, Great Yarmouth had the very first seaside arcade. Barron's Amusements, as it was on Marine Parade, was Britain's very first seaside amusement arcade.
so it's really fitting that your
We're here,
Old Penny Arcade is here.
reproducing it.
Brilliant. the game I've got in front of me shocked me at first because I happened to be talking to somebody with my back to it, and when I turned around, it was right there. And the reason it's so shocking is it's a wooden frame. There's glass panels. It's almost like a tank, and inside there are two lifelike dolls. They have bottles of milk in front of them. They look about the same, and then there's a little tube from the bottle of milk to each of their mouths. It's genuinely horrifying. So I'm going to put a coin in.
Such a weird game.
You put your coin in and then you turn the lever as fast as you can. You're racing somebody who's turning the other lever, and the idea is you are feeding your child faster than the other person.
That was David and I at Great Yarmouth, and we had a good day out there, didn't we?
Yeah, we had a really fun day out, and we got lovely sunny weather as well.
I did enjoy the road trip all the way from here to Norfolk, I have to admit. But at the arcades, we saw a huge variety of different machines. As we saw, David, there were some very weird machines there, but there were also machines there which actually made the coin part of the game.
Oh, the weird ones really got me. The one that got me the most was that sort of fish tank containing two porcelain dolls, which surprised me because it was right behind me. As I was having a sensible conversation, I turned around and I was being stared at by two porcelain dolls.
Competing to feed the babies.
Yeah, the game was competing to feed the babies, which is strange enough as it is, but that wasn't even one of the ones that was meant to be sort of a horror show thing. There were actual tableaus and scenes where you'd put your coin in and you'd be rewarded with a little scene of the sailor having a drink in the bar, and all the ghosts would come out of the walls and a skeleton would pop out of the bar and he'd fall over dead from his bar stool. Just a little minute-long tableau.
Bizarre, basically. Really odd, really weird, Hammer horror-esque of the 1970s,
Exactly.
really hamming it up.
Although, in a way, that's still a coin being used to pay for a thing. So, but there were machines there that used the coin as some kind of skill element, right?
Yeah, ones that we were absolutely dreadful at, particularly were the airplane flying ones. Plane Crazy, I think it was, wasn't it, David?
Plane Crazy, yeah. I should never be a pilot of planes or coins. You put your coin in the machine and then it would drop down onto a little track, but obviously there were big holes in the track and there were edges off to the side, and you'd have to pull the lever back and forwards, left and right to manually manipulate this platform.
To fly your plane or your coin, as
Exactly,
it is.
yeah.
And across the Atlantic through to America. I think I crashed over Mexico, if I remember rightly.
Oh, I don't even think I made it to the Americas.
Now, we've been talking about coins as one form of entertainment, but they've been used in lots of other ways to entertain people. To find out more, we spoke to Will Houston, a member of the Inner Magic Circle and a historian of magic.
My name is Will, and I am a magician. So I'm a member of the Magic Circle, the world's oldest magic society, the world's most prestigious magic society.
So tell us a little bit more about coin magic throughout history. When do you start getting references to coin magic in history?
So I suspect people have been doing magic tricks with coins for as long as coins have been around, because magic, I think, is very much a thing that appeals to a sort of base level of what we are as humans. In terms of the written record, there's a very good book from 1584 called The Discovery of Witchcraft, and that was written mainly to say maybe all of these people aren't witches and we don't need to worry about them. They could be doing all sorts of other things. One of the things they could be doing is magic tricks that you might be able to mistake for some sort of supernatural happening. And as part of that little part of the book, it talks about how a few different magic tricks are done. Some of them are bigger, more spectacular things, like cutting off someone's head and putting it at the end of the table and having a chat with them. Some of them are much smaller tricks, and in there are things like borrowing a coin, putting it inside your hand, waving your hand over the top and the coin disappearing, and then reaching into the air and reproducing the coin. Presumably it was a good trick in 1584 because people were talking about it and describing how to do it at that point. And remarkably, at least as far as I'm concerned, that's still a good trick now.
Do we know anything about the coins they were using at this point in time in this period? Is there any references to those?
We're getting into niche stuff from my memory, but I'm pretty sure there was a trick which is described as being changing a Tesla into a groat in somebody's hands. Now, I have no idea what a Tesla or a groat are, but you might, because this is perhaps more in your world of expertise than mine.
It might be a testoon into a groat, because that would make sense, because you're then going from something that's a shilling, which is more money, into a 4p piece. So this idea of potentially you're looking at bigger to smaller denominations is a possibility.
Yeah, it could be. Or I might just have misremembered the other way around, because as a magic trick, it's probably a more interesting idea to make something small big in a kind of wish fulfillment way, rather than going, hey, can I borrow something valuable? Look, it's not worth as much now.
Any references to where this magic is going on? Do we know, is it a court thing? Is it on a day-to-day basis in this period?
So I suspect a day-to-day basis. You do have magicians in high society, as it were, performing, but most magic, I think, would be in a street context or perhaps a fair context. At this point, magic sort of starts to at least push to attain respectability in the Victorian period. Really, that's when people start having, parlour and drawing room entertainments, the idea of magic as being a beneficial pastime for a young person to learn, not because they're going to be a magician, but because it'll teach them other things that will be useful. That becomes a big thing in the Victorian period. Kind of magic as a hobby as we have it today is very much a Victorian creation.
And so you go through into the Victorian period when you start to see the age of the magicians, as you say, become a bit more formalised and the tricks becoming more widely available. What sort of, you talked about them being used in parlours, but what sort of tricks are we dealing with at this point? Are we still dealing with the coins disappearing and reappearing, or is that what we do in the Victorian era?
So still absolutely making coins appear and disappear, something that people like doing. Producing large numbers of coins has become a thing, as trick commonly referred to as the miser's dream, where you're able to show your hands empty and then you produce an endless stream of coins at your fingertips. And then also there's quite a few things with coins disappearing from one place and reappearing in another. So a trick which I think is quite good described at the time, you would borrow a coin from somebody in the audience, you would then scratch your initials onto each side of it so the coin is identifiable, and then you would get somebody to choose an orange from a bowl of oranges, stick it on a knife and hold the orange up in the air. You then do a little bit of magic with the coin with the initials scratched on it. At the end of that, you make the coin disappear and throw it towards the orange, and the person holding the knife with the orange on it pulls the knife out, cuts the orange open, and then inside they find the coin with their initials scratched on it. Coin to orange.
Oh, brilliant trick. I love that. And I suppose with coins in the Victorian period, you're dealing with things, common day-to-day objects, but there's that. So firstly, why use coins? Because they're common, they're available, everyone's got them, but also they're money. So people want to see, as you said earlier, that transfer of small values to bigger values. And I suppose that's the allure of coinage at this point in time, is it's something readily accessible and people can use it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose if you think about simple effects like a vanish or a production, there is kind of an underlying symbolism within them. The creation of something from nothing is a powerful idea. The idea of something that once existed no longer existing and perhaps not being possible to get back, or being possible to reproduce magically, is a powerful sort of idea that ties in with life and death and all of that stuff. If you add money into the equation, you then have the idea of being able to create wealth. Being able to create wealth, I think, is something that a lot of people have dreamed about in a lot of different times. And the further back we go, again, this is probably more within your expertise than mine, the greater I think the literal value of the coins would be. So in terms of making a coin or a handful of coins appear, go back a bit further, that is potentially a genuinely life-changing amount of money. Come forward to today, doesn't mean quite the same thing, but I think there's a point where producing a handful of coins would be a very literal representation of wish fulfillment rather than a kind of allusion to the idea of it. And you certainly do see people talking about what kinds of coins they're going to use. And you get people who might, in their advertising say they're going to produce 100 silver coins or, whatever that thing is in a show-offy way. Wow. You might also have someone say, I'm going to use over £100 worth of solid silver apparatus in my show. Now, frankly, they might be an awful magician who's just spent a lot of money on fancy apparatus, but nevertheless, the idea of wealth and performing wealth is very much a thing.
So from an advertisement's point of view, this idea of saying I'm going to create a lot of wealth, I'm going to use 100 coins, for example, that was something that was definitely going on in the Victorian era.
That's something that's definitely going on. And I think you can see it today. You know, you might get a show which says we've spent over X million pounds on our fantastic set and special effects. It's just a version of doing that, really.
Yeah. Yourself, what coins do you use if you're using magic tricks? Do you have a particular coin that you use, or coins of types?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there are two sort of arguments for what kind of coin you might use. One argument is that you should use coins that are in current circulation, because then it's very clear that they're a normal everyday object. So if you wanted to do a piece of magic that felt like it wasn't set up in any way, felt like it wasn't planned in any way, borrowing some sort of normal coin from somebody is probably the way to go. Probably you want something that's a reasonable size. The bimetallic ones I don't think look so clear because of the different colours on them. So maybe you go for 50p. Round shape is, the funny shape is not quite so nice. So maybe you go for a silver coin that's as large as possible. You get 10 pence. I don't know, maybe something like that if you're going down a normal coin route. I tend to do a magic performance in a more formal setting where it's clear that I knew I was going to do a magic trick before I left the house that morning, and people know that this is very much the case. So in that setting, I think it's fine for me to have chosen coins that I think are nice. And I would tend to use Morgan silver dollars for that, because they're a good large size, they're nice and visible, I can polish the silver in such a way that the design remains pronounced and clear, but it still has a little bit of glintiness to it, and they're a coin that I can make appear and disappear in a way that will be visible for a few hundred people at once. And if you imagine someone standing with a 5 pence piece, making it appear and disappear, by the time you're on the other side of the room, they may as well be doing something with anything. You can't see it at all. So I would go towards a silver Morgan dollar.
An interesting part of that interview with Will was when he was talking about the book, The Discovery of Witchcraft from the 1580s, where we can see some of the coins that are in use as part of magic tricks at this point in time.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that it is one of the earliest examples of coin magic that we have written down, but also it's got some examples of specific coins that it talks about.
Yeah, and how they're used. And you've had a quick look at some of these, haven't you?
I mean, these are brilliant explanations of tricks. So it's got with words to make a groat or a tester, to leap out of a pot, or to run alongst upon a table.
There's something about throwing something into a pond, isn't there, and retrieving it or something?
Yeah, to throw a piece of money into a deep pond and fetch it again from whence you list.
I think my favourite one is to make a groat or a tester, to strike through a table and vanish out of a handkerchief very strangely.
So these are all really specific references to coins, but they're kind of explanations of how the tricks might be done. And the point of that is that this book is actually, it's striking out against that belief in witches, isn't it? It's to show that witchcraft doesn't exist, that there's a very logical explanation for this.
It's about tricks. This is about how magicians are using it for entertainment rather than some kind of supernatural activity.
Even the title, I love these titles of these kind of books, but it's The Discovery of Witchcraft, wherein the lewd dealing of witches and witchmongers is notable detected in 16 books. So it's telling you how they do the things that they do.
And from our point of view, from this idea of the secret life, it also references exactly what type of coins are being used in these groats and the tester. And the groat is a 4 pence piece, and the tester refers to probably the shilling, as the testoon, which is an early shilling, comes in the reign of Henry VIII. And this is from a few years later in Elizabeth's reign in the 1580s. So we can see the type of coins in active use in magic, in popular magic of that era. And as Will mentioned in his interview, magicians like larger coins. And that's what we're seeing here. These two are relatively large coins for the circulating medium of the day, so they'd therefore be visible and easy to see for the public.
They're visible, but they're also quite valuable as well. Of course, we're working with silver coins here, so these would be worth a little bit in and of themselves, and they'd buy you a fair bit as well. So, Susie, you've been looking at how much they could buy you, haven't you?
Yeah, so in the 1580s, a groat could buy you several loaves of bread. I mean, 2 pounds of cheese and 2 dozen eggs could be purchased for a penny. So for your groat or your tester, you're getting quite a lot of that. I've also been looking up the kind of animals that you could buy. The goose was 6pence, so you could almost afford a goose with your
groat. Yeah.
So by turning a groat into a tester, you'd go from having, 2/3 of a goose up to having 2 geese's worth of money?
Exactly, and that's quite a significant leap for
Very simple.
a magic trick. You've got other examples of this. So all the way through magic, even to the modern times, there's a trick called the miser's dream, which you take, you have an empty hand and you make a coin appear, and then you put it in a bucket, and you make another one appear, and you put it in a bucket, and you make this wealth from nothing. That idea of value of a coin.
I suppose it's touching on why use coins, therefore. What's the point of using coins in these tricks, and why are we doing it?
Well, I mean, if you're conjuring something from thin air or making something vanish and reappear elsewhere, what better to use than a literal store of wealth, you know?
And the other thing as well, particularly throughout the vast majority of history, maybe not so much today, but people would have had coins actively and readily available in their pockets and their purses. It's an everyday object that a magician can draw on.
Well, that's the really interesting thing as we start to move through history. In the 16th century, of course, we're talking about really high-value silver coins here. But as we get a little bit further on and we move, say, into 19th century or Victorian era or anything like that, you start to see coins being so much more commonplace that people will have them. You can guarantee, if you're a magician, that the audience will have pockets full of coins. They will know what they look like and they will know what they feel like.
There's also that point, if you use an object that belongs to somebody else, it kind of legitimizes the magic. There can't be a trick if you're using a coin from your audience member's pocket rather than something you could have pre-prepared.
What we got there from Will was everything we hoped and expected to get from him. But he did finish by telling us about a more unexpected way he uses magic to help people.
One of the projects that I find most exciting to work on is with an organisation called Breathe Arts Health Research, who do lots of different arts-based interventions in medical settings that are underpinned by clinical research. One of those uses close-up magic tricks for young people with a condition called hemiplegia, which results in a sort of stroke-like paralysis on one side of the body. So we have a whole range of young people. We work with people from around the age of 8 to about 18 who can't do fine motor skills with one hand particularly well. And that has a large knock-on impact into their day-to-day lives, because if you can't do things like do up your own buttons or zips or shoelaces, you can't get dressed by yourself, you can't hold a knife and fork, you can't cut up your own food, you can't eat in a self-sufficient way, you can't hold a piece of paper still whilst you write with your other hand, you can't do your schoolwork as effectively as you might be able to do. And so even though it doesn't necessarily seem like a big thing to have a limited movement in one hand, it has a really big knock-on impact. Traditional therapy approaches to solving that might include doing things like putting a cup on the table in front of the child and telling them that every day you're going to spend 10 minutes picking up a row of 10 5-pence pieces with the hand that's really difficult to use between your first finger and thumb and dropping them into the cup one by one. Then tip them all out, then do it again. If you did that every day for 10 minutes, it would absolutely improve your fine motor skills.
Not very interesting, though.
The challenge is convincing any sane 8-year-old to spend 10 minutes every day doing that. So the thing that Breathe did was to get a bunch of Magic Circle magicians together with a bunch of occupational therapists to say what actions are useful for these young people to practice, and then for the magicians to go away and say what magic tricks do we know that we can teach young people that incorporate these various actions. So we have tricks with cups now, where there are 4 or 5 coins that have to get picked up. They have to be held between a finger and thumb with the arm stretched out to show to the audience before they're dropped into the cup, and then perhaps they disappear from the cup and reappear somewhere else. The young people want to practice because it's quite exciting to be able to do a magic trick. That's something that they would like to be able to do well. And almost by stealth, they're then also doing this really difficult, hard work in isolating the first finger and thumb to pick up the coins and show them with an outstretched arm, which is particularly difficult for these young people to do. So they end up doing the therapeutic actions. They have lots of fun doing magic tricks, but as a consequence of the work they put in, there's a huge benefit to how much dexterity they have with their hands. And to give you an idea of what might happen, we do a 2-week camp. So we work with the young people over a 10-day period with a weekend in the middle. And at the beginning, probably none of them are using knives and forks. None of them can do up buttons. None of them can tie ties. None of them can do up shoelaces. By the end, all of the young magicians will be achieving goals like, I can do up my buttons. I can tie my shoelaces. I can get dressed in the morning. I can cut up my steak with a knife and fork, whatever that is.
That's absolutely incredible. And all that through the dexterity involved in coin magic. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, all of that through the dexterity involved in magic, and also the rather lovely underpinning idea of a magic trick, which is that something might seem impossible when you first encounter it, but if you think about it in the right way, you problem solve around what you're trying to achieve, and then you work hard and you practice, you can make that impossible thing seem to happen. We're doing work with young people in pupil referral units at the moment, all sorts of other bits and pieces, looking at where you can use the skills magicians have, or you can teach young people how magic is done, not because it's going to make the young people magicians, but because it will help them with the challenges they have in communicating with other people, or the challenge they have in engaging with a new group of people in the setting they find themselves in, or with the physical motor skills, or with other psychosocial skills, or whatever it is.
Now, that was a truly magic interview in every form of the word.
Yeah, it was so good. Will really knows his stuff.
He's absolutely brilliant, isn't he? And he's got such a fascinating array of job titles, does so much good in what he does.
I really like the interview because Will demonstrates how circulating coins have a really beneficial purpose in magic tricks to help out those with dexterity issues or motor function difficulties.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and it's absolutely fantastic the work that Will does with Breathe. He was telling us all about it. It's one of those things where you understand that magic and sleight of hand requires so much dexterity, and it's just such a brilliant way of getting kids engaged with that who really need help with that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's such an unexpected use of magic. I think that's what got to me. It was an application, a modern application of these techniques where children would get bored doing this stuff over and over again. So you make it exciting.
Yeah, the idea of a child just picking up a penny and putting it in a pot time after time after time, but bring magic into it and get the coin to do something really helps.
And I love the way in the interview he refers to the people that they work with, the young people that they work with, as young magicians. There's no patience. There's no idea of a victim of something. They are young magicians who are trying to do a thing. It's such a powerful idea.
As this is the last episode in our series, we have brought Abigail back into the studio so that we can all go over our top moments from this series. David, what are your highlights?
I think I really enjoyed our road trip to Norwich and Great Yarmouth.
The lads' tour to Norfolk.
Exactly, yeah. It was such good fun, and the people we got to interview were brilliant. The interviewing the Bishop of Norwich in particular was absolutely fantastic. He's such a good speaker.
So knowledgeable as well, and just really easy to listen to.
I could just sit there and listen to the two of you talk for hours and hours and hours.
There's plenty more audio to go, so listen for the bonus episodes, everyone, to hear the full account of that. What about you, Susie? What was your best experience?
I mean, Big Ben.
Yeah, obviously.
That has to be my favourite day at work ever. I really enjoyed the day at the Civil War as well.
That was a good day, that one.
Yeah, the Sealed Knot were really welcoming of us, and it was a really good experience just to see how those kind of battles would have been fought.
Yeah, overall, I'd never been to one of those recreations before, and I wasn't sure what to expect, but it was fantastic.
It was a really good day, and like I said, everyone was so welcoming, and full stop, the guests have been amazing.
But what about you, Abigail? What have been your favourite bits, your most enjoyable bits from this series?
I've loved being part of this podcast. It's been brilliant. My first time doing anything like this, and it's just been fabulous from start to finish. You just feel so lucky to be able to do things for work. You know, going to talk to some of these people and going to some of these places. It's just been brilliant.
And we should finish really by saying a big thank you to everybody who's taken part in this series, because without those fantastic guests and their experiences and their thoughts, this wouldn't be possible. In particular, I want to thank Will Houston and Peter Williamson for their contributions to this particular episode. And I want to finish with a question to all our listeners. What are your non-monetary uses of coins? Do you have some that we've not mentioned? If so, get in touch via our website at romanmuseum.org.uk or on our Instagram page at Secret Life of Coins, where you can follow and like us and find out more information about what is coming next on the podcast. Because we will be back. So for the last time this series, our music is by Justin Bryant and our editor has been Hugh James. Until our next episode, it just leaves me to say a big thank you to you, our listeners, and a goodbye for now from all of us at the Roman Museum podcast team.